When it got to 5 o'clock and I did my final refresh and I hadn't had an email telling me I was successful, I was gutted, to say the very least. I was like, everything I know is a lie. Everything I've been preaching is a lie. I don't know how to manifest. I can't manifest. Just doubting myself. Hey girlfriend, welcome back to the Curl Power Podcast with me, your host, Zoe Fox. If you're new here and you're wondering whether it's worth sticking around, if you are a woman that is on a mission to just see how good life can get, perhaps you're not even at that point yet, but there's something inside you that's saying, this ain't it. Surely life has more to offer me than my current lot, then stick around. And then if you're wondering, well, what do you know about it? I have lived an interesting life of challenges and trauma, depression, post-traumatic stress syndrome, agoraphobia, generalised anxiety disorder. I was like a hot soup of mental health issues for a long time because of the experiences in my life and not necessarily knowing how to process them or deal with them. They all started stacking one on top of the other until I got to a point where I was just like, life, this ain't worth living. Luckily, I kept pushing through, and here I am today, alive, living my very best life, and so grateful that I didn't give up when I wanted to. Now I'm on a mission to make sure that women around the world know that there is a deep power that lies within you. You've just got to give yourself the chance. You've just got to start believing in yourself, undoing some of these outdated patterns that are no longer serving you, and really get on this train to meeting your greatest potential. I believe in you so much. When I look back at my life and think of just how dark things were and how far I've come, I'm sort of become a little bit evangelical now about, just other women and letting you know how amazing you are and just how much I want to see you winning too. So if this sounds like something that resonates with you, please stick around and check out the previous episodes. It would be super amazing if you would come and join me over on Instagram. You can find my personal page at zoe.e.fox. I really want to see this community growing. More than ever, I'm being called to be around like-minded women who have either got the zest for life or are really looking to tap into that zest for life to see just how good life can get. Whether you're at the very beginning of your personal development journey or you've been on it for a little while, I'm just going to continue to share some of my greatest lessons and revelations just in the hope that it can help you in some way. And like the greatest reward for me in doing this podcast is the feedback that I get from you. And it means so much when you write to me, contact me and tell me that this podcast is making a difference. I'm like, yes, my mission here is exactly where it's meant to be, in helping you to realise just how amazing you are. And I know you know it deep down. I know you know it. Now I just want you to acknowledge it and accept it and publicly own it. So if you are looking to level up your life, I've created a beautiful free little gift for you. It's downloadable. You can find it on the website. I will drop the link in the show notes. It's called Manifest Your Perfect Day the Night Before. It's a daily reflection template to help you have a more intentional day ahead. I find by starting the day with intention, it's amazing what you can achieve. If you just float into the next day without an agenda, you'll just keep floating through days, and then just being like, oh my God, I'm 85. Where's life gone and what have I achieved? The Manifest Your Perfect Day Planner will help you to create the habits that connect you back to yourself at the end of the day, so you can essentially step into the new day feeling grateful, clear and confident about where you're heading. So I found in my personal development journey that forming little habits like this can really help you to beat procrastination, self-doubt, and just get you living with more purpose and more clarity. Please find the link for that in the show notes. If you are a fan of the podcast, and big shout out to the loyal listeners, I would truly appreciate it as an independent creator if you could kindly rate and review the podcast if you feel moved to do so. Little things like that just go such a long way for independent creators like me who don't have a team. Just you can do that on Apple, You can rate and review, or you can do that on Spotify, and just know that I am truly grateful for your support. If you find any benefit in the episodes, please go on and tell a friend. Organic growth has been the way forward for this podcast, and I am grateful to my girlfriends for supporting. So a couple of episodes back, I did an episode and it was called Nurturing a Positive Mindset. I will link it up in the show notes. And it was about nurturing a positive frame of mind and manifestation, essentially. Little did you guys know, at that time, there was something that I was actually trying to manifest for myself. So the next episode I had planned was actually about coping with disappointment, because what I thought I was manifesting at the time didn't manifest. So I was like, I did everything in my power to try to bring around this manifestation and failed. So I was so excited to manifest this opportunity and then come back and say, guys, I did it. I manifested it. I'm practicing what I preach and it worked. When that didn't come through, the episode was then going to be about coping with disappointment. So I'd submitted an application for something that meant a lot to me. And on the day, I'd given it my all. I'd really given it my all. And on the day, which was like the final deadline to hear back about being successful, I was sort of obsessively checking my emails all day, like, have I heard anything yet? When it got to 5:00 and I did my final refresh and I hadn't had an email telling me I was successful, I was gutted, to say the very least. I was like, everything I know is a lie. Everything I've been preaching is a lie. I don't know how to manifest. I can't manifest. Just doubting myself, doubting my story, doubting what I've achieved, doubting what I thought was meant for me, essentially. Questioning everything. My entire existence was all hanging in the balance. So I was going to come and record you an episode and just be like, yeah, my manifestation, it failed. It was an opportunity that I wanted so badly that I really had to swallow my disappointment. I thought maybe they might be working till 6:00 tonight. 6:00 came and went, nothing. I was like, wow. I really had to swallow hard. The disappointment sat in my throat like a tennis ball. I was like, oh. So I thought, you know what? It was an amazing opportunity. It wasn't meant to be. I'm just going to write them an email and say, thank you so much for providing this opportunity. Naturally disappointed that I was unsuccessful. I'm wondering perhaps whether you might have some feedback that can help me to improve in the future. The week went, tumbleweed. I was like, okay, well, maybe they're just too busy to give any feedback. It's hard to deal with disappointment when you truly believe that something was meant for you. It's hard. So I started to turn the disappointment on its head and think about how there would have been a time when I wouldn't have even had the courage to take the action, to put myself out there for such an opportunity. I would have been debilitated by fear. I would have seen it and thought, oh, that sounds great. That's something I would have loved to have done. But no, not for me, and found every reason under the sun why I shouldn't pursue it. So I had to honour myself for the personal transformation that I've made over the years, to a point where I saw an opportunity and I went for it because it was something that I wanted to do. And I didn't even question it. I just went for it there and then, saw the application, was like, yeah, I'm going for it. I did my best. I did my absolute best in that moment, and that in itself is something to be proud of. Once you know you have given your all, it then gets outside of your control, doesn't it? Ultimately, you don't know. I didn't know what they were looking for. I didn't know what their criteria was. Perhaps just in this instance, I wasn't a good fit. It wasn't a good match for this opportunity. So I started, sort of like rationalising all these things in my head. But what was particularly difficult for me about this experience was because I felt like it was connected to divine inspiration. So this opportunity is something that I actually saw initially not long after I became injured back in 2020. After my spinal cord injury, I saw this thing and I was like, oh wow, that's amazing. I didn't really think it was for me at the time. I hadn't evolved to that point. But I thought, wow, this is incredible. How amazing would it be to be a part of this? Anyway, one night I was going to sleep and I just had this thing repeating in my head, repeating in my head. It's something that is on my vision board. I really want to tell you more, but everything in the right time, I believe. So this thing is on my vision board, and then one night I was going to bed and it was repeating in my head, and I was like, what is going on? And it reminded me of the time when me and my husband had been trying for a baby for like 5, 6 years. And I was in bed and I woke up from a dream and I had this voice and it's like, do a pregnancy test. So I'm like, okay, did the pregnancy test. Pregnant after 6 years and 2 failed rounds of IVF. So I've got this voice that, let's call it my highest wisdom. Yeah, my intuition. It speaks to me. I listen and, it turns up with a result. So when I was going to bed, I was getting this thing in my head and I was like, okay, noted. Next morning I wake up, I see this application. I'm like, oh my gosh, which is associated with the thing that was going round in my head before I went to bed, and that is on my vision board. So I'm like, wow, I can't ignore that. So I absolutely seized the moment and made the application. So in my meditations, I'm often asking to be connected with all that is aligned to my highest good. So I'm like, oh, maybe this is a sign. This is a sign. This is a sign. And then I'm like, right, I've got to do everything to support this manifestation process because I feel like this is of divine order, right? So once I hit submit, I was like, this is in the hands of the Almighty. So when I didn't hear back by the deadline, I was like, oh, this is a hard one to swallow. Especially because I felt as though it was coming from an inspired place. And usually my inspiration, when I come from an inspired place, it's like it all works out. So I was like, really doubting everything that I thought I knew. But then I'm like, well, I also asked the universe for this or something better. If I've got something in my head that I want to achieve, I'm like, dear universe, support me in bringing around this or something better. Because sometimes what you think you want isn't necessarily what is best for you. So you might set about trying to manifest or achieve things that are not truly aligned for your highest vision for yourself, whether you're conscious of it or not. The universe has got other plans. So I was like, okay, maybe the universe has got something better for me. It's just not manifesting itself yet. So it can be really hard when you've got your heart and soul set on something and it doesn't work out. But you've just got to trust the process. So as I'm still on this physical healing journey, part of me is like, my brain is like, oh, well, you are still healing. You are on this healing journey. Maybe it's not the right time for you. And like, yes, I am living with a disability now. But I've still got this absolutely raging ambition inside of me that like doesn't care about the disability. It wants to keep continuing to push life and squeeze all of the magical juice out of it so that I can then have this big container of juice that I can share with all you. So I'm like, yeah, I'm dealing with this disability. I am the mother of a 3-year-old now, so I'm just trusting that the right thing is going to happen at the right time. And at least I know I've done my bit. I've done my absolute best in this scenario, so I can only put it down to it just being not the right opportunity for me at the right time. So the next week I had a really good meeting. I'm working with an amazing mentor at the moment who is really helping me with a lot of stuff, which again is stuff that I'm excited to sort of share as it all starts to unfold. Lots of things are changing at the moment. Like my personal growth is just accelerating at a rate of knots, and it's a wild ride and I'm loving it because I feel like I'm being just pulled in a direction of authenticity and limitlessness, and I'm just seizing it and I'm just going for it because you know what, there's nothing to lose. Anyway, had this amazing meeting with my mentor, came out feeling high, went to check my emails afterwards. I noticed I've got an email from the people who I had made this application to. I was like, oh, they're coming to me with some feedback. So I opened up this email, first line, we're incredibly sorry. So I was like, oh, okay. to have not emailed sooner. We've been finalising some details. Your cover letter stood out to us in a very strong field of applications this year. Your application has been successful. Wait, what? Sorry? Pardon? What? Oh my God! Guys, the feelings of jubilation, elation, reassurance, reaffirming, confidence boosting, the universe has got my back, don't ever doubt it, I've got goosebumps as I'm speaking. I couldn't believe it. So, this episode is no longer about dealing with rejection. This episode is about divine timing. Just because you think that something should happen by this time doesn't necessarily mean that that's how it's going to work out. Divine timing indeed. Everything happens at the right time. It's so easy to get into a space and a place of feeling a rush to get somewhere and be somewhere at some destination other than where you are. Because when you're living in a place where you know you've got room to increase your potential, increase what your life experience is, and if you've come from a place of struggle and a place of challenge like I have, it's easy to feel desperate to want to get to a new place, a new destination that feels more aligned and more prosperous and true to who you are. Yeah, it's easy to feel impatience. I know I can't be the only person out there. One of the life lessons for this lifetime is to really deal with impatience and just to trust in divine time. Because the thing is, we live on a clock in our society, but the universe doesn't abide by the same linear time. The universe is a multi-dimensional, complex and beautiful thing that doesn't follow our 24-hour clock. So your timing is not the universe's timing. I had to wait an extra couple of weeks. I'd basically sold myself down the river of disappointment. A couple of weeks later, there I was, woohoo, hooping and hollering with joy, sliding into the family chat on WhatsApp to boast of my achievements. It's easy for me to say now because it worked out successful. But I hope this is just an example for you that it's not always what you think it is. Sometimes there's feelings within the disappointment that you need to acknowledge, that you need to reflect upon. There's lessons at every step of the way. So yeah, here's another mad thing. I went up to Brum in the summer holidays to see my family. And on a total whim, I decided to book a reading at a local spiritual shop. Just, I don't know what it was. Something just was like, yeah, just do it. So I did it. Got a cab there. Turned up. Only knew the girl who was doing the reading, right? She's amazing. I would highly recommend her. Follow her on Instagram at A Bridge to Tranquility. I will link her up in the show notes. I was like, no way, Rachel, I know you. And she was like, no way, we couldn't believe it. Anyway, in the reading, she spoke about an opportunity. And at that point, this was the day after I didn't get a yes. So she was speaking about this opportunity and I was like, well, I thought there was going to be an opportunity, but it didn't work out. I didn't hear anything yesterday, so it didn't manifest. And that was one part of the reading at the time where I was a bit like, oh, okay. Well, maybe, she's picking up on the energy of the fact that I've gone for this big opportunity that hasn't worked out. But anyway, it was an amazing reading. So much stuff came up in there. And sometimes it's so important to have a bit of a mirror, really, to hold up against yourself. When you're in the thick of stuff, it's hard to see and hard to know what you need to work on. But she was able to hold up a little mirror for me, bring up some stuff that came up in the cards, which totally resonated with me and 100% made sense. So I was able to go away and do some processing work and let go of some stuff and, do some bits and pieces to help support my personal development journey. And this is why it's good to have people that you can lean into to help you to see yourself, essentially. So the opportunity did manifest and I was able to message Rachel and just be like, guess what? The opportunity that you mentioned, yeah, it happened. It came about a couple of weeks later. Super, super, super exciting. So, I just want to tell you all about it, but all in the right time, innit? All in the right time. I'm not gonna like all of a sudden start being on like Emmerdale or Coronation Street or anything like that, but I'm like a person that just wants to tell you what you've got for Christmas. That's me right about now, but I just need to swallow it, hold it down, breathe into it, and allow myself to experience it before I start talking about it, because I always like to have some degree of having processed stuff before I start to talk about it, because I think it allows me to come from a more grounded place, a more reflective place, rather than just being like, this is happening, and then, you know, yeah, I don't know. I like to be grounded with everything that I'm doing, so I'm still like floating in the air on this one. So once I've come back down to earth and digested it, in fact, at the point this goes live, oh, how much of this is me like not saying what I really want to say? But yeah, there's a big sort of kick-off to the opportunity, which is happening next weekend, this time. But by the time you were listening to this, it will have been the weekend just gone. So maybe I'll be ready to talk about it a little bit the week after that. Who knows? How annoying is this? I bet you're just going to be like, what is it? What is it? And then when I tell you, you'll just be like, oh, no, I think you'll be really pleased for me, because it's something that matters to me. So I suppose my big lesson with all of that was to let go of, when thinking about the manifestation process, is to let go of our linear human expectation within it and just have a little bit of trust. If it's for you, it will find its way to you. If it's not for you, there are so many lessons you can learn along the way. So many points of self-reflection and so much that you can glean from that. Like I said, when I thought I wasn't successful, I was able to eventually congratulate myself for the progress that I've made, congratulate myself for taking the steps to even have applied for something that I would never have had the confidence to have done, over a decade ago now. Trust in divine timing. The great creator doesn't work on our clock. The right opportunities are going to show up at the right time, sis. You need to be receptive and aware of the synchronicities that are cropping up. Take them, go for them, notice the opportunities, take the opportunities, give it all you can, give it your best shot. It's not all going to work out in the way that you expect it to in your head, but it's working out perfectly in the right timing, exactly as it should. So just stay conscious and take your lessons from your successes, but some of the even greater lessons come from your perceived failures. So if you're like me and you feel this like sense of rush and you're really sort of locked into the clock of our society and everything needs to happen by this time, and I think as women we've got this extra pressure of timelines and having things sorted out at certain points, but we've all just got to trust that our life is leading us somewhere, and as long as we are prepared to stay open-minded, open-eyed, seize the opportunities that present themselves, take the risks that take us outside of our comfort zone, just keep taking action to just really see what can be possible. If you are feeling a sense of impatience around your life experience at the moment, perhaps you've got that real strong pulling and discomfort and frustration of impatience, it might be a good idea to journal about it. Ask yourself, what's the rush? What's the rush? Your response can be quite telling. I think it's always good to journal, like physically writing with a pen. There's something different for me about writing with a pen to paper rather than writing a note or typing something in a computer. But whatever works best for you, however you feel called to inquire within yourself, ask yourself what the rush is all about and see what your heart wants to reveal to you. Or perhaps you're at a point in your journey where you're not taking on the opportunities that excite you because there's a fear within you or something that's holding you back, or you're super glued firmly into your comfort zone. Ask yourself, what would it be like to take the bull by the horns and just go for it? What would it be like to feel the fear and to go for the opportunity regardless? If you're not putting yourself out there, you're not allowing yourself to be aligned with the amazing potential that is out there waiting to bless your life. Don't be your own worst enemy. Don't be your own hurdle. Don't be your own barrier. There is an amazing life out there waiting for you to live it. Let's do it, sis. Let's get out of the comfort zone. Let's put it all behind us. Those limiting beliefs, those things that are telling us that it's not for us or we're not good enough. Let the universe be the judge of that. Big love, sis. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Curl Power podcast. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you know someone that is dealing with disappointment or feeling a little bit impatient about timing, wishing there was somewhere else in their life, maybe share it with them, give them a little bit of my perspective. Don't forget to tell a friend about the podcast. It's how we grow. It's how we can help to get more women considering what can be possible for them and their beautiful lives. We don't have to be bound by the trauma of the past, by the challenges of the past and the things that held us back. Tomorrow, in fact, forget tomorrow. Today, this second, you've got the opportunity to start consciously creating the life that you want for yourself. Are you with me, sis? I hope so. Big love. Peace out. Don't forget to follow us on the social medias at zoe.e.fox on Instagram. Give us a rating and review. Big love, peace out, and I will catch you next week.